evils, and my people have done me so wrong. They've forsaken me the fount of living water, heal our systems that won't last long. My people have done me evils, and my people have done me so wrong. They've forsaken me the fount of living waters, heal our systems that won't last long. Oh, Jerusalem, oh, Jerusalem, I would gather you like a extended by my hand. Yet you stoned all the prophets I sent you. They were good, worthy, mortal men. My love for you unto is without measure. 'Tis a love without beginning or end. I would have given you your transgressions, cast in a sea of forgetfulness your sin. My people have done me two evils, and my people have done me so wrong. They have forsaken me the fount of living waters, hewed our systems that won't last long. My people have done me two evils, and my people have done me so wrong. They have forsaken me the fount of living water, our systems that won't last long. Systems that won't last long. Systems that won't last long. Systems that won't last. You don't know when the sun shall again shine.
Now, what has happened as a result after getting out of prison is you know basically what you have to spend. I keep a budget. I know that there's some times when I need to be a little bit more austere. So I decide within myself, when will I have periods of austerity when I spend the basic minimum? Sometime when you're doing things like you're trying to do a business or something, you have to spend for supplies. And that's what happens with reentry. Now, going back to the reentry about when I got out. I got out that night, it was the 2nd of February 2016. And I was in the reentry house, and I knew I had 90 days. I didn't have a telephone, and one of the residents said, well, I guess you need to call somebody. And so I used his telephone. He had one of those Obama phones. I didn't know anything about an Obama phone. And he had phones with minutes on it. Now people have graduated up to some other things, and I got a phone myself, and I got other things. The importance of a phone, I didn't understand it in prison, because in 20 years I didn't touch a phone. In fact, I didn't even use that blue phone on the wall in the prisons. I didn't call anybody because there was nothing to talk about. So once I got out, I remember being at the Greyhound, and the guy who was supposed to pick me up to carry me to the reentry house was late. And I had his telephone number, and I said, then I looked around, I was looking around for a telephone booth, couldn't find one. And the guy who was at the Greyhound station graciously allowed me to use his telephone. Oh, messing up. Set this for 25. And he graciously allowed me to use his telephone. I told a couple of guys when I got out, I said, I'm going to write you when I get out. And so I sat down and I wrote some letters, and I wanted to find a mailbox. Couldn't find the mailbox anywhere. Because as I said earlier, the world worked by email. I called my aunt, and my aunt said, I'm going to send you some money. She sent me some money. And the biggest question was, where do I cash the check? And the check came in, and it came in that night. And so I asked one of the residents, how do I cash this check? And he told me where I had to go. And so I walked what seemed to be like a mile and a half to where I needed to go. in order to cash the check. The next thing I did was to look into some places, how could I get some clothes? Because I need something to wear. And so what I did is I went and brought some underwear, and I brought a pair of shoes, and I went to Salvation Army and picked up some clothes, and went to Goodwill and picked up some clothes. Now a lot of people say, I don't want nothing from Goodwill, I don't want nothing from Salvation Army. But you spent 20 years in prison wearing used clothes, and sometimes you wore used drawers. And you could hold them up and see somebody else's stains still in the drawers. So what you do what you need to do. For you young guys, a lot of young guys said, well, and I knew that this fellow, he spent 8 years in prison. And what he wanted to do was to come out after 8 years and take 8 days and cram in all the pleasure, all the fun that he had missed for 8 years. It's not possible. You'll end up getting in trouble and getting yourself screwed up. But I've been blessed. I decided to do a YouTube channel when I got up because there's a lot of folks out there who are predators. There's a lot of scams out there. And you gotta be watchful and careful. You gotta work hard. You gotta work harder than if you had never gone to prison, because a lot of people are going to write you totally off. There's jobs I went to and I know darn well I can handle the job because I had the education and experience. But they see that NCIC and automatically they tear your stuff up. Boom! Sometime I went to one place and they had I filled out all the paperwork. Got to the point of even filling out the paperwork for a W-2. And all of a sudden, they didn't want you to hear anything from you because of your record. I heard a lot of people say when I was in prison, and they would say, well, when I get out, I'm going to get rid of the clothes that I wore coming out of prison. They're going to try to forget about this. Quite frankly, I don't want to forget about those days. I want to use the remainder of my time to change conditions, not forget about them. I want to make sure that the balance of the days I have left on the face of the earth is spent to do some good, not only for myself, but for other people. To help guys and girls who are getting out of prison, to talk to them about how to put their lives together. I don't have all the answers, but what I can do is to present some knowledge to you in these videos and in this reentry program that will generate some hypothesis and generate some thoughts. Now, I'd like for you to listen to the rest of my videos on Remove This Reproach. There's a whole lot of stuff I'm talking about. I was surprised at the number of issues that were involved in terms of reentry. And sometimes here today, like I said, this may not be Buckingham Palace, but it's where I live right now, and I'm thankful for it. Now, after I stayed here for a while, one of my neighbors had a truck, and I said, you know, eventually I'm going to need some transportation. So I brought the truck. The truck didn't work. It needed a heck of a lot of work. So what I decided to do was to buy the truck, because if I brought the truck, it was mine. I didn't have any payments on it. The biggest thing to do is to stay away from a lot of payments, because you get yourself in a heck of a lot of problems. We live in a day where there might be soon an economic turn down. Rents are going high as all get out. People paying $900,000 for places where just a few years ago they paid $400 or $500 for. If you own your own home, then it's cool. Take care of it. Take care of your own food. Take care of your own laundry. Take care of the things that's around in your situation. One day I'm going to do a video on scheduling, and I think I'll do it real soon as a supplemental video. And we're going to talk about how to use your time, because your time, your talent, and your treasures are closely aligned, they're closely correlated. The end. Okay, that's it. I think I did enough.